Thanks to EA for sponsoring this video. Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. I decided to build a Halloween themed town. So this is a neighborhood which is all about Halloween, going trick or treating. It's very autumnal, of course. You know how much I love autumn and Halloween, so I had so much fun building this. And I built this in Ravenwood. So this is the 64x64 lot in Ravenwood. And you will see that I was kind of using a mix of different packs, items, and styles. The church, for example, is really life and death themed. So we have the graveyard and stuff using the objects from the new pack. But then the rest of the town kind of looks very American suburban. So this is kind of a mix of different styles and objects. I wanted to have these houses being right next to the church, and I wanted to have this square in the center. It kind of, I don't know, just giving me Gilmore Girl vibes or something, where you have these beautiful houses and you have like this town square in the center where people could gather. I decorated this a lot. I wanted this to be super, super dreamy. I wanted this to be so perfect and planned out like something you would see in a TV show or movie or a theme park. You know, theme parks are oftentimes like heavily decorated for Halloween and autumn, and I placed all these pumpkins in the town square center, and I mean, you will see what I'm talking about later. But here I'm actually working on the church. So for the church, I've used all the amazing items from Life and Death. I mean, not every single one, but lots of them. I was just building the shape of the church. I was using the new roof pattern from the pack. A lot of debug objects. For example, these pillars are from debug, from Life and Death. Also the stairs. I then used a debug fence to kind of fence off the whole graveyard area. And I was using round floor pieces to have a curved path. And I was just trying to figure out how to make this work. So I knew that I wanted to have a church in the back and the center, kind of the focal point of the build. And I wanted this to be functional, so on the inside I'm going to use benches and all the new items from Life and Death, so you could actually have a funeral there. Also a functional graveyard and everything, so I wanted this to be functional, I wanted this to look cool, and the graveyard will look a bit overgrown. I was going for like this very old vibe, so this is like a very old graveyard. It's a bit overgrown and the graves are really old. This was kind of what I was going for, and I just thought it would add to the whole vibe and to the whole spooky aesthetic in a way. But yeah, it's fully functional. You could have a funeral in there, so you could use this build in different ways. You could like rent out some of the apartments using for rent, or you can have a big sim family living in these different houses, and you can totally also use the church building and stuff. So there are different ways to use this probably. And I was decorating this a lot using all these headstones and like different objects, and I was using different swatches and I was trying to place them a bit randomly, so it really looks old and kind of forgotten and overgrown. So these are not any like new graves or something. In debug there's an item which looks like grass, so I just used it to make it look more overgrown and random. And I'm going to use a lot of terrain paint to kind of blend in the path with the rest of the grass. And here at this point I had used a floor which looks like grass, which is from Eco Lifestyle, and of course you cannot use any terrain paint on a floor, so I'm going to get rid of this, or I already did here, and you can see that I like blended this a bit so it looks more natural. And I thought I'm just going to have a curved fence. I just rotated these objects freely and I created a slight curve, and I was then trying to work on the general layout of the whole neighborhood. So here you can see how I've placed a round foundation piece and I'm attaching a fence to this. The fence is from high school years, and this is how I laid out the general shape. I knew that I would like to have the town square in the center. The question is, where do you place it? How big should it be? I also wanted to have like this path for pedestrians and everything. I just wanted this to make sense, and I was like trying to figure out how to do this. And I love that we can move objects and even whole buildings around on a lot. Like this function is saving me, because it really feels like when you start to draw on an empty piece of paper, you start somewhere and that's it. And sometimes you might start in the wrong area of the paper. In case anyone here likes to draw, like, especially when you begin to draw, you know the struggle. And this like happens to me a lot when I'm building, so I really have to move stuff around oftentimes. And yeah, I was really trying to figure out how much space I would need for all these houses, and I wanted this to look very dreamy. I was definitely inspired by Desperate Housewives here, and I'm still going to build Wisteria Lane. That was kind of on the back burner for a bit, but I was inspired by Desperate Housewives here. I just wanted to have this vibe, and initially I wasn't sure what to do. I thought about really heavily going into the life and death direction to make it like neo-Romanian, to like make it like the PAX aesthetic. But then I thought, okay, this is about Halloween and this just has to be suburbia. And I then just decided to have this combination of the church and all these different styles. So this is really just a freestyle build, and I just love the vibe. I love how dreamy it is. I just love to work on these builds where I have so many buildings on one lot and do other landscaping, and I really enjoyed this. So initially I had used the round foundation or floor piece and attached the high school years fence, as you saw and as I've mentioned. I then decided to not do this, and I simply decided to use a debug object from Life and Death, or multiple of them. There's a curved one and a straight one, and I just used these objects to lay out the paths, and I then just used terrain paint on the inside to like color in my little paths. This gave me more freedom, because sometimes these round foundation pieces can be a bit tricky. You have to apply floor to it and it's not always looking perfect, so I thought I'm just going to do it this way. So this is where the path looks a bit different, and the beautiful fence in the background is from Strangerville. Actually, it can also be found in debug. We have multiple of these beautiful picket fences in the game now, but when you use one from debug, you have like total freedom. You can rotate objects freely and you can create any shape. And I just didn't want to depend on using round foundation pieces and then applying a fence to them. Because here, for example, you can see I'm working on the house and I've used a round foundation piece to have this round patio. But now imagine I would have used another curved floor piece right in front of it to create the round fence that I've used there. It wouldn't work, because you cannot like place a round foundation piece on another round foundation piece, or like on half of it. So here I had all the freedom because I used all these debug fences. And yeah, here this is like also heavily inspired by Desperate Housewives. I wanted this to be so dreamy, and I was also freestyling a lot. So this is not like a complete replica, but I was like having so much fun. And I changed the wall height because initially I'd used the tallest wall height available for the church. And this is like one of my biggest pet peeves. If I could wish for one thing, I wish we could have like separate wall heights for separate buildings, just like we can now do with all these foundation heights. You know, the update which introduced this, like in case you are a new simmer, this wasn't like always the case. Back then, when you changed the foundation height, you changed all foundations on the whole lot. And then we got an update, and this is so cool. I think this was introduced to the game when we got the platforms, probably, which was also such a huge game changer. However, I wish we could have different wall heights for different buildings. So as long as a building or parts of a building are like not attached, we could have different wall heights, because sometimes you just plan out something like the church, for example, and then it just doesn't make sense to have this wall height for this cute little suburban house, and then nothing makes sense anymore. And this is my biggest pet peeve, but maybe one day this would be awesome. This is the second house. At first I was like kind of working on the exteriors. I was really trying to make the whole outside, the whole layout of the build complete before I started to furnish. And this is like much smaller. I wanted the one that I worked on before to be like really the biggest suburban home on this lot. It's kind of in the center, it's very visible. And then I thought, okay, I need another one in the back, kind of a bit hidden behind trees later on, just so it fits complete, because there was like this empty spot, but at the same time the spot isn't too big, so I really had to figure out how to like squeeze in a small cute suburban home here. And again, this wouldn't have worked with the tallest wall height, like not at all. So it was good that I changed this, and I used the same outside like wallpaper, exterior color, and roof pattern for all these builds. I feel like in a lot of suburban areas in the USA, these houses look pretty similar. I know there are also like lots of regulations what you can and can't do to your house even though you own it. And I just wanted this to look a bit similar and everything. And this is another house. There are so many houses, and this is also a tiny one. So you have one main house. If you should use this lot, you can use the main house for your own sim family, and it probably makes sense to use the smaller houses for the adult children of your family, for example, or you rent it out in case you own for rent, or you let a butler move in there in case you own vintage glamour. So there are different ways to use this, but my idea was to have like one main house. So this is kind of the star of the show, and it's really the biggest house. And I also, as you will see, which is so cute, this should be at the very end of the video, I'm like going to use objects from the spooky stuff pack to place all these trick-or-treating items. So I also placed like carved pumpkins on the patio of the houses, and then a bowl full of candy and everything. So it really looks like there's some trick-or-treating going on, and I just added all these small details to really turn it into a Halloween themed build. And here I like expanded the curved paths, and you can here actually see how I've created these paths using the debug objects, which is so easy. I feel like sometimes new players might be struggling using the method where you use foundation pieces. I actually have a tutorial about this on my channel. It's called Curved Paths Tutorial. But here you can see how easy it is to simply use a debug objects for this. So this might also be a solution. And I then like finished the shape of the square in the center. And I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, I have this path which looks like a path for pedestrians, but then I also have like this path in the center, which like isn't a street obviously. So it might not make a lot of sense, but I think it looks cool. And it's also giving me Disney vibes, where you have like this path and then it's kind of like a street in the center, but of course everyone's walking on it and everything. So I think it looks cute, and I just noticed that it's kind of giving me Disney vibes. Whenever I was working on a theme park in Planet Coaster, I was trying to have this aesthetic, so it looks like really dreamy. And I was also most of the time inspired by Disney whenever I played Planet Coaster, and I think I just kind of went into a similar direction here. This is the last house of the last suburban home on this lot, and also small. And here I was like really strategically thinking about this. I didn't want this house to completely block the view, because when you play in this and you have like a gigantic 4-story house there, and you might like want to play on the lot and you rotate the camera like this, it might block your view. So this one is also smaller. And I don't know if I'm weird, but whenever I played the game, I always had like a set direction like for the camera. I knew exactly like how to furnish a house when I was building it for playing in it, from which direction I would be looking at the house. And this is how I planned out like a whole lot when playing in it. And I feel like I'm still doing the same thing. So if I would play on this lot, I would like always have the camera like pointed the way like I took the screenshot for the thumbnail, for example. And I don't know, let me know if this is just me, but I was always really weird with this. Also, like how I placed objects on a wall, because I knew, okay, this wall would be like not visible because of the like half cut view of the walls. And I was always like thinking about this. I was like really weird with this. And yeah, I've used like more of these debug objects to finish the curved path. So this house also has a curved path, also lots of fences from Strangerville. I then used some hedges, and all the trees that I've used here, these are from the debug from Life and Death and Live Edit. So these look autumnal, and they're very similar to the ones we got in cats and dogs in terms of like the color. So there are trees and cats and dogs where you can simply change the color, and it always looks autumnal no matter the season. And these are like the same. And I wanted this to be like completely autumnal all the time. I didn't want this to be dependent on the season change. So you always have these beautiful colorful trees. And also, in case you only own like Life and Death and some other packs, you don't even need seasons for this to look autumnal, which I think is also cool. But I feel like whenever you're working on a build like this and it's dependent on seasons, it just looks so different in summer, of course. And the same goes for these dreamy winter builds. When there's no snow, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. For example, some Christmas builds I did. So I really love that I was able to simply use these beautiful, colorful trees here. And this is the interior of the first house, of the main house. So I wanted this to be very bright and light, just kind of soft colors. So it's just as suburban and cute as the exterior. Again, I just had to think of Desperate Housewives. Everything was so light and we had these soft pastel colors, and I was just kind of going for this. I used the wallpaper from Life and Death in a white swatch, like one of the new ones, which looks so cute. The floors from the Spooky Stuff pack, actually. And recently I renovated the abandoned house that I did for The Sims 4 Life and Death. It's officially in the pack. And I only wanted to use Life and Death and the base game. And one of you pointed out that I was using a floor from the Spooky Stuff pack, and I indeed did. So when I'm going to upload this to the gallery, I'm going to make sure that I won't be using Spooky Stuff pack for the renovation. But here I totally used it. I mean, I used some other packs, so it was fine, and I think it looks so cool. We got a beautiful new wooden floor in Life and Death, but here for this build I just wanted to use this one, and I eventually ended up using the Countess in a white swatch. And like whenever I was like building with the pack, like I have always used some of the darker colors because of the vibe, but here, because I was going into the suburban direction, I wanted to use like these counters, and I just wanted to use a white swatch. And I think it's also giving me like some slight cottage living vibes. It's like cottage living meets Desperate Housewives. It's just a really specific style. And also let me know, what are your plans for Halloween? Are you celebrating? Where you're located? Like, what is it like where you are located? How is it celebrated, or is it not celebrated at all? Let me know what's going on. You know, I always want to know this every year. What's going on? Tell me everything. I'm just going to watch some horror movies. Nothing spectacular, really. We're just going to have a chill evening. Like, me and my boyfriend, we're just going to watch movies and just chill and relax, and I'm really excited about this, and I'm just really excited to watch some good movies. And I like, whenever a creepy movie comes out, I don't watch it and I just put it on my watch list for Halloween or for spooky season, because I want to watch the really good ones when it's Halloween. And sometimes it's not always the case that these movies come out in October or something. Sometimes they come out randomly, and then I'm just like putting them on my watch list, waiting for Halloween or spooky season. If you have any good horror movie recommendations or just anything that's like Halloween themed, let me know. Like, besides all the classics, like maybe something more new. I'm just so excited to get some recommendations. I would be very grateful for that. And here I'm furnishing more. I'm just still going into the direction of like these really soft colors, but for the bedroom I have used a green swatch. I just love green kitchens and interiors, and whenever I also like see a video of someone like redecorating their home and they're using a green wallpaper, I just love it so much, and I'm so obsessed. And when the pack, like in the pack we got like these amazing green swatches, and I've been using them a lot. And I don't know, but I'm always wondering if it would be too dark and gloomy for me in real life, because it just has like a really specific vibe. And I love this, but also I'm like not sure. I feel like it always feels like autumn or winter on the inside. It never feels bright or summery. And I don't know. I mean, I love autumn, but I don't know if you get the idea, like what I mean. It's like, I'm not sure about this, but in The Sims, and when I see other people like having dark green wallpaper, I'm like so obsessed. I love this so much. Here, this one is also like a brighter one. I've used like this base game wallpaper and different objects, and it's like really bright and beautiful. In this video, I'm not going to include the process of like all the houses, because there are like so many different houses and also like smaller ones. So I like, this is fully furnished and complete, and it will go up in the gallery soon when the pack is out, but I like didn't include the whole process here. This video would have been so long, and you will like see the finished results in the screenshots at the end of the video. So here I'm already working on the church. I just kept it very simple. I just wanted to have the area for the funeral. I hope that this is functional. Maybe you have to be on the like specific lot type, but either way, I just made it functional in theory, and it's looking like fancy. I used the beautiful new benches from the pack and these chandeliers, and I used all the beautiful items. And here I'm decorating the town a bit more. Here at this point, everything is already furnished. So I've used these beautiful objects from Life and Death to like illuminate everything and to make it more whimsical. And I sized them down, and I then noticed that it's not making sense because I wanted them to be like a gate for the area, like where I like removed a part of the path, so or the wall, so people could like walk into the square. So I ended up like sizing them back up to their original size, and I placed them in different areas, so it's like illuminated and cute, and I think this just looks so cute. I love these items. Such a cool object. And yeah, I'm decorating all the porches for trick-or-treating. There's like this candy bowl, which is from the Spooky Stuff pack, different Halloween decorations, and I placed them on the outside. And in one house I placed the table and the candy like on the inside, because some people like, of course, just have them on the outside so people can just grab candy, and others like open the door. And I just wanted to have different variations and everything. And I just love this pack so much, like the Spooky Stuff pack. It's so cute. And yeah, this is it. Here you can see so many screenshots. All these houses are fully furnished. This is like a fully furnished complete build, which you will be able to grab from the gallery soon once the pack is out. And I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you will have a very happy Halloween. In case you're celebrating, have the best time. And even if you're not celebrating, please have the best time ever. I just hope that you will have a perfect day tomorrow. And I love you all so much. Thank you so much for watching. And I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.